Welcome to our week 2 hangout for CIS 107 and CIS 117. And oops, I lost my desktop connection, it looks like. Bring that cloud time system back up. Might be stretching the limits of my bandwidth. I've got a lot going on in the system right now. So anyway, the agenda here is really yours more than it is mine. I like to, especially during the first couple weeks of class, offer, we did a Connect-a-Palooza hangout last week just to let people connect both with each other and with me, and to learn about any questions they had about how to use cloud time or the different software in the class. That's just not going to stay up tonight. I don't know why that's not stable. All right, well, I'll set that aside for now. But anyway, what I'd like to focus on is answering any questions that you have about any aspect of the class, or if you're working on any exercises in week 1 or week 2 that you'd like to explore, like a little help working on. That's what I'm here for. So what can I do for you guys?
Well, I do have a question. So we are working from, I guess, edition 10. I guess you're going to be posting the information for the edition 10, even though we have edition 9, right?
So you're talking about the CIS 107 class, and you're talking about the concepts of database management, the Pratt book?
Yeah, the database.
Right. So the official course book is the 10th edition, but you should be fine if you're working from the 9th edition. And you'll see
what City College has was all 9th editions. They didn't have any 10th, they didn't order any 10th edition. So I'm sure everybody
that shouldn't be the case. Let me see what the
syllabus had 9th edition, but your video said that we were using the 8th edition. And then when we're doing
Jennifer,
is
this the 117 class or the 107 class?
107.
Yeah, I think we're at this point on the 10th edition. It may be that the video may be back leveled by one. But the for the 107 class, we're working from the 10th edition. Although, as I said, it hasn't changed all that much. They've added a couple new database schemas and freshened up some of the assignments from the book. In any event, when I give exercises and whatnot, if I refer to specific questions, data sets, or images, the data sets I should have provided you with, and the images are generally right in the assignment, so you're not, refer to what I put in the assignment rather than what's in the book, and that way you're right either way. Let me take a quick look and see what they did for that, because I believe when I put the request in, it was for the 10th edition book. And so.
And then your syllabus that you put out as the 9th edition. We'll be using this, and this is the book you need. So
okay. So they're still showing the edition 9. That's weird though, because that book cover I think is the 10th edition. Let me grab that. You're right. It's the 9th edition. Okay. So that is, I said 10th. I'm mistaken. This is the current one, is the 9th edition. The last edition of it is 8 and has this book cover. Either of them will do. for this class. Generally, I like to work from the most current edition, and usually in my syllabus I will say, and you say that the syllabus is specifying 9 or 8? Should be 9.
It's specifying 9, but
Yeah.
why I'm questioning it is because the week 2 discussion questions that you have a list of like 45 questions, and you select them in order and post one of them. Sybil responded using her textbook, and then you said, well, no, you're supposed to use what you've provided, because the databases are different from our 9th edition.
Right.
What the names of them and what they're doing and whatever. So that's why I was questioning it, if we should really have the 10th edition and not the 9th.
Yeah, it's 9th. Sorry, I think I referred to 10. It's the current edition is 9th. The back level edition is 8th. And then if you take a look at the assignment, so for example, let me show it this way. Hopefully this will come up quickly. Yeah. So if you look at the assignment,
it's assignment 2, I guess.
Oh, is it assignment 2? Let me go grab that.
Well, actually, it's the discussion on chapter 1. That's where it is.
Okay, in the discussion, let me go grab that. Okay, so the learning objective checkpoints, chapter 1.
Right.
Okay, so
if we're really
show that.
I know you said to look at your pages.
Right. So it says shown in figure 1-5, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom here, you'll find out I've provided figure 1-5, because if you look at the figure 1-5 in the current edition of the text, it's going to be a similar kind of database, but it's not identical. And so, refer to the figures that I provided here. So all of the figures that you need to respond to should be right in this assignment. So you can download that and view it. If you could print it if you like to work from a hard copy. And those are the figures to which we're referring.
Right. But I was just curious, where is that coming from? Is that the edition 10 or edition 8?
This material, these figures are from the 8th edition. But the questions really are dependent on the figure. They're independent of the edition. They refer to these figures. So if you the fact that you don't have the 8th edition text, if you have the 9th edition text, will not disadvantage you.
Right. Okay.
So like this first question, which is let me zoom that in a little bit. Use the TAL database shown in figure 1-5 to answer this question, and it's you want to list the customers that have a credit limit that is less than $10,000. Okay, and so if you happen to look at the current 9th edition book, it doesn't show you the TAL database in figure 1-5. It shows you something else, and that's why you should refer to the figure 1.5 that I've attached here.
Okay.
And that will match. So Cybele said, well, I think you must have meant client rather than customer, and salesperson rather than rep, or what. It's like, yeah, they've changed. They update the text mostly so they can sell you a new textbook, I think. But the point being that all the figures that you need to refer to do that are right there. So good question. And let's see, RP, let me read this out. I'll bring it into view as well. You guys can open your own chat window if you want to see it. I accessed the class a little late, So I'm getting myself familiar with the course. I'm referring to CIS 117. Okay, so yeah, I am just kind of to be more efficient. I offer the hangout for both the 117 and the 107 class in one session, and I'm happy to answer questions from either class. Um, I thought that would be a little funky, and I tried it last term, and it turns out that the students really seem to like it. They like to kind of have the view into what the other classes were doing, and questions came up that seemed to have some synergy. So I said, okay, we'll keep doing it this way. All right. So Jennifer, other questions?
No, that was it.
Okay. And Art, I'm glad you're not having any problems. Anything you wanted to see or explore, or even if it's off topic, but kind of related to our studies, I'm happy to kind of stretch and talk about related things wherever you're going with your career, database wise, those kind of things. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah, the 117 class especially, you got to stay right on top of the material because since that's only an 8-week course, short course, if you fall behind, it's very hard to catch up in the time that we have left. In a 16-week course, it's still not a good thing to fall behind, but at least you have a little bit more leg room if and when that does happen. The 8-week course, boy, you get down a week and you just almost can never make it up in the remaining 7 weeks, or you know, um, the later it is, the worse it gets. So, okay, if it does happen, I don't get uptight or upset if people are behind, or if their material that they didn't absorb or they missed in the former week. I'm happy to go over material from prior weeks and answer questions and revisit fundamentals, because a lot of this material builds on itself one after the other. So it's silly for an instructor to get frustrated if a student is behind. What we need to do is go back and see where you are, and kind of get you connected with that material, because you can't just say, well, I'll come back to it later. So much of the stuff, one thing builds on another. You can see where we're going in the 107 class this first week. A good example of it is these learning objective questions. This week, we're doing all these questions and we're having you look at the data and filter it through your eyes and through your brain in order to say, well, this is my process for how a human being finds all the customers that have a credit limit of $10,000 or more. Next week, guess what we're going to be doing? Well, we're going to be using SQL to do it. So we start out there and we kind of scaffold and build on everything we do. We start with some simple select queries in both classes, and we'll be doing single table queries, and then before long we're doing multi-table queries that involve joins, and of course, if you are having problems still with single table queries, trying to progress to the join queries and adding additional clauses like aggregations and having and grouping clauses. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. So, yeah. All right. Well, other thoughts or other questions?
No, I don't have any more.
All right. Well, then I guess this will be short and sweet. Let's see. Art added a question. Can you just clarify for me? Basically, I go on Chrome on the remote machine, access the course material from there. Okay, so there's two things you may be connecting to remotely. One is Canvas, and so Canvas is our learning management system. Let's just kind of take a quick tour of that again. And so I'm going to close my browser and start a new browser. So here I've opened up Chrome, and you can go directly to Canvas. Most students will just log in through Pipeline. Once you're in Pipeline, here, of course, is where you get your Pipeline mail, and here is the link to Canvas. And again, Canvas is our learning management system. And so let's see, I think Art is asking about the 117 class, so we'll go into the 117 class. And then in the 117 class, you see that the most recent 3 announcements will be up here at the top, and then other course materials here. And notice that I've collapsed a bunch of it, and you can do the same if if you've already read stuff and you don't need to see it again. We have a lot of weeks to scroll through, and so if you had all the weeks expanded, they get kind of long. So as you solve each week, as you complete each week, you might want to collapse it. And then within this, as you go through week by week and view all the material, look at the slides, do your reading from the textbook, then you post your discussions and work on your assignments. And one of the things here is I'm looking over because I saw that Art added some stuff. Can you just identify for me? Basically, I go on Chrome, the remote machine, and access the core material from there. Right. So that's fundamental. This is the course content. And then the other thing, if you have asked me for a cloud time machine, which is a free virtual computer that you connect to remotely. It runs in the cloud and has all your software already configured for you. And it's entirely up to you. If you really like to download and install the software on your own machine, you can do that. But if you are not into that, or just want to have the convenience of being able to use a machine, like a lot of times people are using their machines at work and they can't install software on the work machine, or it's a family machine, maybe there's not room to install it. You can ask for a cloud time machine and come into cloud time once I've assigned it for you. Now, my view is a little different than yours. I get to see everybody, but you can come in here and launch a machine. So here's my instructor machine parked here, and it's the only thing that's different about it is the name. And I can toggle that into a running state. And then after a moment, let's reload that. And we see that machine is now running. Let's see. Still pending. We'll have to refresh it again. I have to wait till at least have an IP address. There we go. Now I've got my IP address. I'll copy that IP address and start remote desktop connection, paste it in there, and let's connect as administrator. And SBCC-CIS 117, all caps, and connect. And then here is my remote machine. Looks just like it's running on my own system here, except for this funky window handle. And I can come down and connect to the SQL Server. There's my shortcut for SQL Server Management Studio, which is what we're using in the CIS 117 class. In the 107 class, we're using MySQL and SQL Workbench, and also LibreOffice Base. In the 117 class, SQL Server Management Studio, and I can connect, and then I'm good to go with all the software and all the databases already built out for me, so it's a little more convenient. So hopefully that's useful to folks. And again, nobody's required to use it that way, but if you want it, it's free, and I'm happy to provide it to you.
So on these cloud computers, can we put shortcuts on the on the cloud computer?
Sure.
I didn't,
You can do anything you like with it. So if I minimize this, so I'm looking at this, and I wanted to have a shortcut on the desktop to something.
yeah,
So let's say
workbench
here.
and stuff like that, I can put the,
So there's Notepad. If I wanted to make a I could pin it to the taskbar, or I could you know take it and make a if I make a shortcut to it. Um, so here I'll pin it to the taskbar, and however you like to run your desktop. Sure, anything you like.
okay.
So we're basically running on the server studio.
On you're running. So when you run a cloud time computer in CIS 117, you are running a Windows server, and
Mhm.
it is running SQL Server Management Studio is your query client. Okay, and what that is connecting to is Microsoft SQL Server. And the edition we're running, if you care, is the Express edition, which is a little bit lighter footprint and
Right.
certainly more than big enough for anything we're going to do in this course.
Okay.
Perfect.
Mhm.
So yeah, and if you want to experiment with stuff, you're welcome. If you want to install new software on your cloud time system, or start new services, or play with stuff, you're welcome to do that. What I would recommend that you do if you're going to experiment is make sure anything that's really critical to you, make a local copy or a backup of it. The nice thing about the cloud time computers is, let's say, you call me in tears and heartbreak and go, "Oh, Professor Beck, I did this thing that made the machine just blow up and it's not working at all anymore." Within 5 minutes, I just hit the delete key, and that instance is gone, and I spin you up a new one and assign it, and you're back to pristine state. Now, you will have lost everything that you did custom on that machine, but you're back to start. So as I said, if you're exploring or experimenting or creating files and they're important to you, back them up, so that if you get into trouble and you need me to blow that old machine away and assign you a new one, happy to do it. Doesn't cost you a thing other than your time. Um, but that's been probably the handiest thing, because I will have students who get the software all installed on their environment, and in the course of the term they do something else and suddenly nothing's working on their system, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's 10 o'clock Tuesday night, and my work is due in an hour and a half or 2 hours, and what am I going to do?" If it's cloud time, like I say, 5 minutes, I can have you back up and running on a whole new system.
Sounds good. Thank you, Professor.
You bet. All right. So, Art, Jennifer, anything else?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. And as always,
Yeah, I'm
uh,
good.
if anybody's watching the recording and say, "Gosh, if I'd have been there, I'd ask this question or that question," or "I really like the instructor to demonstrate this other thing," email me. I'm happy to make a short video. I can post it right into either the Q&A discussion, or if it's something that would be useful, perpetually, I'll make a new short instructional vignette and just add it to the class. And so I think you'll find there are a few things there that look like, obviously some student had an idea or asked a question in the past, and it was such a good question or a common question, I went ahead and just made the answer part of the instructional materials for the class. So I'm happy to do that. I can also set up, this is kind of our common group hangout time, but either during my office hours or outside of my regular office hours, by mutual agreement at some mutually convenient point, I'm happy to do a Zoom meeting, so you don't have to drive down to campus to meet with me, and you can share your screen and show me what's going on. I can share my screen and show you what I think the answer might be, and that all works really well, and we save hydrocarbons into the deal. It's all good.
Sounds good. Thank
All
you.
right. All right, Art. Jennifer, have a lovely week, and
Okay,
when
You too.
questions come up, let me know.
Thank you.
okay, thank
All right.
you.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.